In Syria, the fight against Islamic State is said to be almost over. Major bombardment of Baghouz for a third night has caused a stream of around 3,000 IS fighters and their families to surrender. Tomorrow will mark the 8th anniversary of the war. In that time, 5.6 million refugees have fled to neighbouring countries, which highlights the next looming crisis. Mounting pressure for those people to return home is coupled with a sharply declining amount of aid for them. Samantha Hayes has travelled to the Zatari refugee camp in Jordan and the Bekaa Valley in Lebanon, where hundreds of thousands of Syrians now live. She joins us now live from the Bekaa Valley. Sam, is it safe for the refugees to return home?
Mel, the short answer is no. Every single Syrian refugee that I've spoken to has told me that they do not believe that it is safe and they're not even considering going home at this stage. Many also have friends and family that are still inside Syria. They're also telling them not to go back. And they've added that IS is still present in many places. But the refugees may not be able to stay where they are now either.
Helfa al-Mohammed fled Syria with her children when Islamic State started bombing her local markets. They crossed the border into Lebanon and set up home in a tent. That was 6 years ago. Where we come from, Islamic State are not defeated, she says. They are still very present. Helfa's family lives alongside hundreds of thousands of other Syrian refugees. Her husband is unemployed, and they rely on donations of food and money to survive. People still need help. The war for us is not over, she says. There is still so much need. In Jordan, 80,000 Syrians live in the city-sized Zatari refugee camp. Even its youngest residents have war playing on their mind. 7-year-old Mohammed tells me why he had to leave Syria. Because there are a lot of bombs there. If we stay there, we will die. The boys have lived in makeshift shelters 30 kilometres from Syria's border for 5 years, in a camp that was never intended to be home to so many for so long. They both say they feel frightened when they hear adults talking about returning to Syria. I feel so scared about going there, he says. There are bombs.
Surveys by the United Nations found that 76% of Syrian refugees do want to return home to Syria one day, although 85% said they had no intention of doing so in the next 12 months. And while there have been a small number of verified voluntary returns to Syria, there are also accounts of families having gone back to Syria only to turn around and become refugees again because it was simply not safe to be there.
But the 5.6 million Syrians, more than half of them children who have fled to neighbouring countries, may not have a choice. Stefan Schwartz, the head of World Vision's Jordan response, says the international support and donations which these camps rely on is drastically reducing. And Syrians shouldn't be forced out.
Entire neighborhoods have disappeared. People may have lost all their property. People may have lost family members on the other side. And that may simply make people wonder if they should ever return, to be quite honest.
The choices are bleak for people like Helfa. But like so many others who have wound up in places like this, for now, there is no going back.
The situation in informal tent settlements and refugee camps like this is utterly overwhelming. It's really heartbreaking to see how huge the need is 8 years on. It's not diminishing, it's increasing. But the level of humanitarian aid that's available is drastically reducing. But what we've seen here is that the need is still so great.
Samantha, thank you. Well, if you'd like to support World Vision's work helping children affected by conflict, go to worldvision.org.nz.